protagonist, Hamdoon. He was staring into the darkness of his friend's apartment, clutching a Barcelona jersey that had already destroyed his home and quite possibly his future. But if there's one thing you should know about Hamdoon, it adds that being on the brink of supernatural disaster only made him more determined to understand exactly what was trying to kill him. So naturally, he spent the entire night doing what any rational person would do when faced with a cursed football jersey. He became an amateur detective, specializing in supernatural sportswear, armed with nothing but caffeine, stubborn optimism, and an internet connection. He dove into the digital rabbit hole that was Real Madrid forward 9-9. What he found was, well, let's just say it made his apartment explosion look like a minor inconvenience. 17 victims, 12 angry reviews that read like supernatural horror stories, and one very disturbing pattern. Every single person who had purchased from this mysterious seller experienced the same escalating disaster that ended with them either in the hospital or, and this is where our story takes a decidedly darker turn, completely vanishing from existence. But before Hamdoon could fully process this information, the mysterious voice called again. This time, it knew his name. This time, it wanted to meet him. Picture, if you will, our Barcelona best hero walking into a Real Madrid cafe wearing his cursed jersey. It was like bringing a peace sign to a war zone. Except the war zone was also cursed, and everyone in it looked ready to commit football-related violence. That ends where he met Miguel Franco, a man whose tired eyes held the way of every parent's worst nightmare, because Miguel's son had been victim number 3. Miguel had been tracking Eduardo Restrepo for 2 years. Eduardo, former Barcelona equipment manager, current supernatural terrorist, and professional ruiner of football dreams. After being fired in 2009 for what the club diplomatically called irregularity, Eduardo had descended into a darkness that made Hamdoon's bad luck look like a mild case of the Monday. You see, Eduardo hadn't been stealing jerseys for profit. He'd been trying to bless them, to channel his love for Barcelona into something that could help his team win. When the club fired him, something fundamental broke inside him. His love curdled into hatred. His passion twisted into revenge. Concentrated misfortune, Miguel called it every Real Madrid victory, every Barcelona defeat, every moment of pain their fans had ever felt. Eduardo had somehow learned to weave it all into fabric. Each cursed jersey was a weapon designed to destroy the dreams of rival supporters and the victims. They didn't just disappear on the 3rd day. They were collected, taken, made part of Eduardo's ever-growing arsenal of supernatural revenge. This revelation sent Hamdoon racing through the narrow streets of the old quarter to find Carmen Restrepo, Eduardo's sister, and, as it turned out, his most dedicated opponent. In her cluttered shop filled with religious artifacts and protective charms, Carmen painted the picture of a man consumed by betrayal. Eduardo hadn't always been a supernatural terrorist. Once, he'd been a devoted Barcelona employee who loved the club so much he was willing to risk his career trying to help them win through mystical means. But when that love was rejected, when he was cast out from the very thing that gave his life meaning, he transformed that devotion into something much more dangerous. Time's running out. Hamdoon came to deck because apparently supernatural football equipment managers are quite good at modern technology. Eduardo was tracking him through the jersey itself, monitoring his every move like some sort of cursed GPS system. Carmen's solution was as terrifying as it was obvious. The only way to break the curse was to confront Eduardo directly on the sacred ground where it all began. Camp knew the very place Hamdoon had dreamed of visiting his entire life, now transformed into the potential site of his supernatural showdown. But before our hero could fully process this information, Eduardo's servants arrived. And when I say servants, I mean the previous victims who had you and me escaped in time, transformed into something between human and hunting dog, united in their devotion to their new master. What followed was a chase scene that would have been thrilling if it weren't so genuinely terrifying. Hamdoon speeds through back alleys while Carmen held off supernatural football fanatics with nothing but religious artifacts and decades of practice. Because apparently, when your brother becomes a mystical terrorist, you develop some very specialized skills. The situation escalated further when Nadia called from the hospital. Eduardo's servants were everywhere now, hunting Hamdoon with the systematic efficiency of a team running a well-practiced play. They knew everything about him, his full name, his address, his favorite players, as if they'd been studying him for years. Which brought us to Carmen's escape plan. A cargo ship to Barcelona, captained by a man whose son she once saved from one of Eduardo's jerseys. Because in Hamdoon's world, everyone was either a victim of supernatural football curses or someone trying to stop them. At the port, as hooded figures closed in like something out of a nightmare, Nadia made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. This Real Madrid fan, this voice of reason, who'd spent years trying to talk sense into Hamdoon's Barcelona obsession, decided to accompany him on his supernatural quest. Someone has to make sure you don't die from your own stupidity, she said. And in that moment, friendship trumps football rivalry. Because sometimes, when the world becomes genuinely dangerous, you realize that the people who care about you matter more than the teams you support. As their cargo ship pulled away from the dock, Hamdoon stood at the rail, still wearing that cursed jersey, still carrying the hopes and dreams that had gotten him into this mess in the first place. Behind him, Eduardo's servants watched from the pier like disappointed fans whose team had just missed the playoffs. Ahead lay Barcelona, the city of Hamdoon's dreams now transformed into the battleground where his fate would be decided. Because that's the thing about dreams, isn't it? Sometimes pursuing them leads you exactly where you always wanted to go. And sometimes they lead you into supernatural danger that threatens to destroy everything you thought you knew about the world. Hamdoon Hassan, our perpetually unlucky Barcelona fanatic, was about to discover which version of dreams he'd been chasing all along. Next stop, Camp Nou, where legends are made, where dreams come true, and where a cursed football jersey might finally meet its match. Or where our hero might discover that some dreams are too dangerous to pursue. Either way, it was going to be one hell of a homecoming.